What's going on, everyone? My name is John. I am a filmmaker slash creator, and today we're doing a review on a show which you probably already know is The Lord of the Rings, The Power of the Ring. So let's get into it because there's a lot to talk about in this video. So first of all, one of the things that we want to start off with is talking about the trailer, the controversy that literally almost made this movie not show up. Now, that's just my opinion, but according to everything that happened, it was this close, okay? Now, let's talk about it. What is one of the things that happened? Well, a lot of people were complaining about the race issue. Now, this is something that got very controversial because a lot of people were like, hey, you know, this was like just a specific race at this time. The movie was specific to this. And others were saying, you know what, we're accepting it. You know, we're in the 2022, we're accepting this is awesome, this is a new direction. And there was a lot of controversy. In my opinion, in my own conclusion of what happened, I really think that this was actually true on both sides, only because I thought that it was used as more of a promotion kind of to get people to come in. And I think since it's really big with women empowerment, that was one for me. And two, race, I think that was one of the things that was really out there right now. I don't want to say popular, but it's a trend that is going on, in my opinion, on this, on everything that's going on. Well, that's another topic that we'll talk about in forms of promotion for movies, but this is one of the things that's for this show I saw in the trailer that was really pushed out there that I saw. Women empowerment and race. Now, a lot of people are for it, a lot of people are against it, but we shall see. Now, in my opinion, on everything that this first two episodes had to show, for me, were very, very borderline good and borderline bad. Now, let me share on both sides. One, good was that I enjoyed all the effects, visual effects that this show had to offer. Amazing visual effects. When they started off this show, I was hooked on the beginning, all the action that was going on, but then it got a little bit tiresome and I was starting to think, where is this show going? Where is the magic? You know, all this stuff that's happening, because in the beginning everything was amazing, the light tree, all that stuff that she was talking about, and then all of that disappeared into like dialogue after dialogue and trying to really get everyone to that big explanation of what they're going into, which I thought was one of the things that really made this show go down real quick. Now, Amazon Prime say that there was a lot of bots. I say that's an excuse as to what really people reacted to this, because, I mean, come on, bots, people, I mean, if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. But that's just my opinion. You have yours, put in the comments. Next, like, this is the thing that I believe that really affects this movie, because really affects this show, because it deals with two things. One, if you are a major big fan of Lord of the Rings, you've read all the books, you've read all the extra books that this writers have read into, you've done your research, you know exactly what's going on in this show, and you are super excited for what they are showing. Right? That is it, because you know when it takes place, what time it takes place. Now, if you're just a fan and you just watched the trilogy of The Lord of the Rings, then you're probably lost just like me, because I had to go literally and do research, do all this history research for this new episode just to understand where Prime was taking this show to. And now that I can understand a little bit more why they use the things that they use, that people are, you know, against, there's a lot of controversy on. I understand now, and it's a little bit, you know, less burdensome, because at first I was upset. The same reason, you know, why are they using that? Because why are they using, you know, different race? Because in the original movie of The Lord of the Rings, because that's the first thing you're going to compare this show to the movie, is that they chose specifically Irish people to be actors in this movie. If you see their behind the scenes, literally they chose that for a purpose. because they wanted to portray that Middle Earth area and time so perfectly, and they did great, right? So when they come to the show and they start showing all this other stuff that were not a part of the original movie, not the book, but the original movie, then a lot of people are gonna go crazy over, because it's not something that they expected or something that they wanted. And I think this was one of the main issues that happened with this show. And personally, I myself, I fell on this thing. Not, please don't call people racist just because they don't like that there's another race in this movie, because that's not even, in my opinion, that's not what it's all about. Just because someone doesn't agree with you on something doesn't mean that you're going to automatically give them a name and start calling them that because you believe they are against what you believe, and that's not right on both sides. Okay, so everyone believes something. We need to respect both sides. Again, it's an opinion of what people, in my own opinion, of what people wanted to see, what they expected, right? You're not going to make a movie, let's say, for example, in Africa, and put another race that doesn't belong there, right? Because you expect that. You expect to have a certain race. Now, let's move from this, because there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot to say, and this is not what this video is about. So, moving on to the next thing. Now, I myself enjoyed this whole episode, these 2 episodes that Amazon released. I really did enjoy them. They're really interesting. However, the dialogue was just very long for me, and it was hard to just stay focused on what was going on, because there was a lot of information that was running through my head that I was trying to put with the movie that was not matching because it was part of the book. And all of this takes place before the Lord of the Rings happens. And so they're trying to explain that process to get to where the Lord of the Rings and Frodo and all that stuff happened with the Hobbit, all that stuff, right? But we're not there. We're like at close to like where it all began to where it's going, and we're in that bridge, and that's why it's so super important for Lord of the Rings, the Power of the Rings, to really explain the beginning in order to understand what's going ahead. Now, please, we're not making an excuse for this beginning part. I honestly give this first 2 episodes like literally probably like a 3.5, and that's being generous, only because it just didn't help out with not knowing, because you haven't read the books, of what's going on here. And I think that's what really hurt a lot of the views for Prime and the Lord of the Rings, the Power of the Rings. But I think there's possibility that it can be better. You know, maybe the next 2 episodes or the next episodes to come actually become better in what people want to see. The action, the whole magical area, which I'm going to say the visual effects were amazing. The elf world, the tree, the monsters, all that stuff that was happening. Beautiful. That's all I gotta say. When you get more of the bad guy, and you get to see more of what they're about and why they do what they do, like, you start getting into it and you want to dig deeper. And I think this is what probably Amazon or Prime is going to do for this show, get a little bit deeper with those characters, which I'm excited to find out. But I would rather have like a documentary where that is shared. You know, like, I would prefer if Amazon would have first come out with a documentary, maybe talking about all these characters, and then promoted that for the movie to actually, you know, make it something that people want to watch. Not that people are not excited for because they were expecting Lord of the Rings, all 3 series in this show, right? That's what they're expecting. But if they did a documentary explaining all these characters, I think they would have had a stronger audience, because now people are educated on what the show is about. And that would have actually worked perfect for them, in my opinion. There's this one thing that I do want to mention, and that is the costume. And we talked about earlier about what we expected in this movie if you had watched the movies, all the trilogies, versus the books. But if you watch the movies, one of the things that I expected, first of all, was all the action that the elves do. Like they're working in synchronization, they're amazing, they're like superheroes. You see all that action happen with the elves, and you look at them as like this amazing army that is undefeatable, right? They're just so amazing. Versus when I see over here on the show the elves, you don't get that. You only get that one time when you're like seeing the girl fight against these monsters, and she's like an amazing fighter and she destroys them, and that's it. Like that's the only time that you actually see the elves like be amazing, besides their backstory, right, and the place that they live. Secondly, I think one of the things that was really kind of for me not liking this show was the costumes of all the elves. Now I know these people worked hard for this costume and to really dress them, and that's great. We give you credit for that, and you know, we applaud you. But the thing is that it just wasn't hitting right, not in the right place. There was something about it that was just not there. You know, I saw the costumes, they were amazing, they were pretty, they were awesome, all this stuff. It was just not there for me. And I think this is another, you know, hit that this show took, because it didn't have that feel that people were expecting for the movie, from the movie. And that's something that if Amazon can fix that, or Prime can fix that in the show, you know, as they develop, I think that would be excellent. But again, one of the biggest props that I would give them is the visual effects were amazing. Now, what do you think that Amazon should do that probably will make this movie better, or the show better, and people would want to watch? Let me know in the comments. That is all for today. Thanks for watching. If you want to know more about this whole thing and you want to know what's going on this show, then subscribe, like, because I'm going to be talking about this show more and more, because I am a fan, not a huge fan, but I'm a fan, and I like some of the things that are going on here, and I want to share it with you. So thanks for watching, and we see you next time. Peace. Alright guys, so just to throw that out there, it's the Ring of Powers. Just before anybody says anything, yes, I know. Anyways, it's gonna go throughout the whole video. Thanks for watching. Keep watching.